Look at all these old hard drives and Sata SSDs. What do we do with them? Are they worth anything? How do we test the performance and life? Well, let me show you how to do it. Hello everyone, and welcome back to another episode of Repair and Chat, where we tinker with things and talk. And I mentioned this before, this will eventually be a live stream when I get the equipment to do that. So now I'm just practicing doing this so that we can do live streams at some point. So today we have our handy dandy mat, and on every episode we're going to add a sticker. So the new sticker we have is this. It says Samsung SSD activated. So apparently SSDs used to come with stickers. And I put that one on because today we're going to talk about SSDs and hard drives. Hard drives specifically. That's the first topic, and then I want to talk about this. I have had this for a long time, and now that I'm doing the GPU testing, I wanted to try and see if you can play a game on this. Other people have done it. Supposedly it's a pain in the ass and it's not fast. But I have another use for this outside of playing games, and I'll talk about that in part 2. If you don't want to see the hard drive portion, I'm going to put the timestamp here so you can forward to the Tesla GPU discussion. So the reason why I want to talk about hard drives is because nobody likes hard drives, as far as I can tell. I have not been around computers for several years, building anyway. When I last built a computer, a hard drive was perfectly fine. An SSD was fast but expensive, and supposedly they wouldn't last that long. That was many years ago. I've been using an SSD myself for, I don't know, 3 or 4 years now, just in when I had a laptop. This is the second or third SSD that I have had. I've had this one the longest. I think almost 3 years. And I'm a little bit afraid to use it anymore because I feel like it's going to die at one point, and I don't want to wait until that happens. It is a good brand, but yeah, so my stuff's still on here, but everything I have is in the cloud anyway, so it doesn't really matter. But yeah, so about hard drives. So I recently bought a bunch of hard drives, and I bought a bunch of old gaming PCs that had hard drives. So I ended up with about 10 hard drives, I think. That's in a video that I'll link below when I picked up all those hard drives. Now, normally you can't sell hard drives, right? They're not worth anything. People just throw them away a lot of times. Unless it's more than a terabyte, then maybe. But just this summer, for some reason, I posted these for sale and they're selling like hotcakes. So I'm getting $15 each for the 1 terabyte, 20 or 25 for the 2 terabyte. And I sold so many that I'm actually almost out of hard drives. But they're kind of free because every time you buy a PC, an old gaming PC, or actually not gaming, if you buy, say, Dell XPS PCs, they always have a 1 terabyte hard drive in there. And that's how I ended up with so many. So I wanted to talk about how to test these. So I use a program called Crystal Disk Mark and Crystal Disk Info. which are free, and you'll see a link there. So Crystal Disk Info will tell you how many, it'll give you a condition of the hard drive. It'll say good, which is green, caution, which is yellow, and then there's a red one. I forgot what that one says. It's very rare for that to happen. And then you can see how many times the hard drive's been turned on, or they call it a power cycle, and you can see how many hours it's been used. So for example, this hard drive has been used for 10,000 hours, and you can actually see the manufacture date. So it's 2009. Somebody wrote 2010 in here, so that's probably when they installed it. Now this hard drive, so that's 2009. This hard drive has, where's the manufacture date on this one? 2019, so that's pretty new. Anytime you see Seagate Compute, that's a newer hard drive. These came out recently. If you go on Amazon right now to buy a hard drive, that's what you see is Seagate Compute. So you see the difference, they're both green. But so the Compute, if you see any of these for cheap, like $5, get those because they're new. And then here's one you see all the time in the Dells, the Seagate Barracuda. This one is date. This one has a date code, so it's hard to. 12334, that might be 2012. But here's the weird thing about this one. This one only has 427 hours of use. So this might have come out of a DVR. The old DVRs have a 1 terabyte hard drive, or security camera systems have hard drives in them. So that's why it's such a low score. So this one probably has a long life left. Also, I found when you do Crystal Disk Mark, you can actually test the speed of the hard drive. A typical hard drive will be 100 megabytes per second on average. A good hard drive will be about 120. A really good hard drive will be more than 120. So this one was 171. That's really high. This one was 133. This one was 109. And I don't know if this is true or not, but this is what I've noticed. The hard drive tends to degrade. When I put in hard drives that have high hours of use, the score is always lower. And then when I put in a hard drive that has low use, the score is higher. So I haven't looked up to see why that is, but it's just a theory that I have. So get these, they're good for selling. They're pretty much free. Most people will just give them to you. Also, if you do data recovery for somebody, you can keep their old hard drive. That's another way that I got some. What I used to do is use laptop hard drives and desktop builds because they run cooler and they last longer. So that's a good thing to do, but nobody uses hard drives anymore. Actually, when I just got back into the computers last year, I didn't even know what this was. I go, what is that? Is that like a flash drive? This NVMe drive? That's what everybody uses now. So the SSDs, let's talk about those. Sata SSDs specifically. I was always, like I said, afraid that they would die at some point. And so just to show you that I'm not crazy, I have 2 dead SSDs. So let's see. Yeah, there's 2. And the reason why I opened these is because somebody gave me this. I bought a bunch of parts from this guy and he gave me this, and it had a little, not like this, but a SATA SSD. It was like that big. That's in my Dell. Actually, I have it. Let me grab it. So this is what was inside. It's a SATA SSD. It's just really like a fat wide one. So then I had this for a long time. I never used it. I figured, well, I'll just keep it because I can't sell it without the cover, right? And I didn't look it up. So actually, I thought all SSDs just had a littler SSD inside until now. See how misinformation can be spread? I would be telling people that there's a little SSD card in there. So these two SSDs are dead. This one came dead. So it just never worked. And here's what's inside. So it's just a little memory chip, as you would expect. And this SSD, which is some Chinese brand, it worked when I got it, then the next day it died. So no warning, no, hard drives tend to degrade and fail, and they'll still kind of work until they just won't anymore. That's why people like putting information on hard drives, because it's easy to take it off if it's failing. But see how SATA's just go kaput. Actually, no, this one, the story on this one is the guy, he put in, or he spilled, not him, his daughter, it's in one of the videos. Somehow or another, the GPU got wet and it fried, and it took the SSD out with it and the power supply. So it's like a big power short or something that killed it. So I don't blame the SSD for that one. My concern is all of these people using these Chinese cheap AliExpress NVMe drives, and in a few years they're probably going to stop working. So I definitely suggest to you to buy brand name SSDs. Even I would go as far as to see what the manufacturer of the chips are. I prefer Samsung, because every time I go into a business and upgrade their computers, they always have Samsungs, and those computers run every day, all day, and they never fail. So definitely Samsung is the way to go for longevity. And then this is what I use to test the hard drives. A little external enclosure. This is like $16 or $19 on Amazon. I like it because it has a lid and it has an on-off switch, so it's not on all the time. They have those ones where you can put the drive in like a slot thing, but those cost more. But this works fine. So yeah, that's that on the hard drive stuff. So now let's talk GPUs. So I bought this on eBay last year for, I think, $30.